And the reason my parents got divorced because my dad was having a lot more sex than my mom was, and she wasn't cool with that for some reason. Kind of a hater, if you ask me. By the way, like, I've talked to my therapist. He's like, this is so destructive for children, by the way. Like, my parents would, like, make good for, like, the holidays. So it'd be like, oh, mom and dad are back together, and it's like Christmas, and then starting January 1st, they're like, hey, vete a la verga, you know, and then now we're separate. I knew there was like a comedic thing about me, you know, like I like, you know, making people laugh. And then as you start getting older, you realize that like girls like a guy with a sense of humor. 14, 15, I want to get laid. Because I grew up with a fucking terrible example of a man, which is my father. I remember my dad giving me like tips on how to get laid at 14. That's like a terrible thing.
Shit, right? Woke up with some amazing news, and we have an amazing comedian. I need this right now, by the way. I'm half asleep right now. We had a KickRocks Podcast last night, Jabroni Talk, and we stayed up pretty late. So it was pretty awesome. Chancla had me laughing all fucking night. And now I'm going to be laughing this morning because I got a comedian in the house, Bryan Torresdey, and we're going to just bring him out here in just a second. And I'm just excited with everything that's been going on. And today we're going to be laughing it up today. We got 4 podcasts today, so we're going to start off with this one this morning and with Mr. Bryan Torres. Bryan, how is it going, sir? How are we doing today?
What's up, JRock? Thanks for having me on, dude. And that's a lot. You're putting a lot of pressure on me to make you laugh to wake up, dude.
Oh, shit. Okay.
I always love it when
Am I doing that too much right now?
I love it when the host just tells me, he's like, you know, I'm fucking exhausted right now, so I got this comic here. I'm like, yeah, that's great,
it's not that I'm exhausted. I'm just waking up right now.
No, you know what? And it's also
exhausted.
when you tell me that, like, it's almost when a girl's like, yeah, I hooked up with a guy last night, but I'm down to hang out. You're like, ugh, nah. I don't want your sloppy
Did you
section.
shower?
Yeah. J-Rock's all freaking punctured.
No.
Yeah, he's all telling me, he's just like, I got another comic. I laughed really hard last night. You know what I mean?
No.
It feels like I'm like on a day with a porn star. She's like, yeah, I worked a lot yesterday. So anyways, how's your day going? I'm like, grosser?
Yeah, my mouth is sore.
Yeah.
Oh, jeez. And guys, y'all know I got to bring my boy Johnny. Johnny's in the house for the KickRocks Podcast,
Johnny?
man. So, Johnny, man, what's going on,
Johnny's not a
Johnny?
sloppy second today.
No,
He's not.
I'm the big spoon, man. I got to go first. You know,
The first in the
gotta
GB.
be the first of everything. Yeah.
That's hilarious, man. Yeah, so we're going to have a great show. Obviously, as you can tell, I'm ready, waking up. There you go.
It's getting turned on. I mean, woken up. Yeah.
Bryan, what is up, man? So I'm excited to have you, bro. We've been trying to plan this episode for a good while now. I know you're busy as hell, and I love it. It's not a bad thing, man. And and I'm excited to finally have you in. But I want to get to know about you, bro. And so where the hell are you from?
Let's get into it.
And, you know, how'd you get into comedy, bro?
Oh, man. So just to start off, like I'm originally from Texas. Okay. So it's like Texas through and through. And it's almost weird because it's almost like as far as like entertainment, comedy wise, I'm almost like a citizen without a country because I grew up in San Antonio. So it's my hometown, right? But then my folks split up. So when I was a kid, I lived in LA for a minute.
Nice.
When my folks got separated. And the reason my parents got divorced because my dad was having a lot more sex than my mom was. And she wasn't cool with that for some reason. Kind of a hater, if you ask me.
Yeah, I think it sounds like a hater.
Well, I mean, my dad's like old school Mexican, right? So it's like old school Mexicans, what they do, they usually have a second family, right? Or they just cheat on your mom a lot. And my dad wasn't Latin gay. Latin gay is when you're loyal to your wife. I remember I met a dude, he's like, oh, my dad's old school too. I'm like, did he cheat on your mom? I'm like, no, dude, your dad's gay. Latin gay is when they're loyal to your mom. I know that's going to ruffle some feathers, but that's the truth.
That's the way we grew up, man.
Your dads are all gay. And so my folks separated. So my mom was like, I need to get the hell out of Texas as far away as possible. So she just took us to LA. And then I lived in LA for a couple years. But then again, you know, my dad starts doing the move where he's like, I miss you, mujer. And starts playing Luis Miguel for her, like when he sees her. And so they try to make it work again. By the way, like I've talked to my therapist. He's like, this is so destructive for children, by the way. Like my parents would like make good for like the holidays. So it'd be like, oh, mom and dad are back together, and it's like Christmas, and then starting January 1st are like, hey, vete a la verga, you know, and then now we're separate. I told my therapist this. They were like, how long did this go on for? I'm like, this went on pretty much like my whole childhood. Like they were divorced, but then they would be friends, and then they would be like hooking up, and then they would separate, and then we would move. And then he's like, that is so emotionally destructive to children. I'm like, that's just a Mexican family, dude. Like,
So how many brothers and sisters do you have, man, that you know of?
I have 3 brothers. I have a couple half siblings that I've only met once or twice. My dad's, he just plants.
He's a gigolo, man.
Yeah, dude. I did a show here in New Braunfels.
Yeah,
you remember
dude,
here?
that was awesome.
My dad was at the show.
Yeah, he was. That's what I thought that was freaking hilarious. So you're talking about your dad, and then like we're laughing. And you're like, you think I'm playing? He's him back there, like he's back there, and there he is with like some young chick and shit too, right?
He was like, that's true. Everything he said is true.
No, he was. That's exactly what he did. So it's like that's what I grew up with. So
I was wondering, like, does he go to all your shows and you're just like, there he is?
just bring the old man around, like, vente viejo, let's go. No, dude, it was cool because my dad hadn't seen me do stand-up in years.
Okay.
So, he has a house here in Texas. So, here in New Braunfels, I was like, come to the show. And he did. And of course, he brings his arm candy with him, his latest arm candy, I should say.
Much younger?
Yes, much younger. Yeah, dude, it's kind of weird.
Was she hot at least?
Yeah, she was attractive.
Yeah.
She was attractive. I mean, he does well. But it's also true. I was like, I didn't want you to be a player. I wanted you to play sports with me or something, play catch, So
he's catching other things. That's for
yeah, he's catching a lot of other things, dude. Way too many. I know way too much.
So did this crazy, I guess, of going back and forth with your parents, is this something that got you like?
It was definitely
a comedy because you needed to just put your energy into something.
So I definitely did. So it was that recipe, right, of like the chaotic moving, right, and then also I grew up with 3 brothers, so all of them, I had 2 older brothers, so it's like immediately you're getting teased, you're getting bullied, it's like everybody fucks with each other until one of them starts crying or bleeding, like that's kind of like the Mexican brother upbringing. So, you kind of know how to defend yourself. So it's like, if you get fat, you're like, pinche gordo. And, you start making fun of each other. So you got to come up with quips, right? You got to make comebacks. So that also made me very kind of quick-witted. Like when, your brother bullies you.
Yeah.
And then, you give it right back to them. All of a sudden, they're like, oh, wow. Like I can't talk shit the way I was before, So it was that. Plus, every time I would move, I counted one time. I went to 12 schools.
Shit. Dang.
Yeah, so it was a lot.
How long of a period of time?
Like throughout my whole school period.
Oh,
so I
okay.
basically, there was a point where I went to a new school pretty much every year.
Was your dad trying to get away from these women, or what was it?
He didn't get away from all of them, unfortunately. I think he has the scars to prove it too. But what it was, I told you, it was like I would live with my mom for a year. I would live with my dad. So they would move together. So they would, move into a new house, so it was a lot of chaotic moving. So every time you go to a new school, you got to meet people, and the quickest way to meet someone is just to make them laugh and joke around and stuff. So that was kind of what helped me kind of open the door and make friends.
Right.
So from there, it was just I knew there was a comedic thing about me. I like making people laugh. And then as you start getting older, you realize that girls like a guy with a sense of humor. So you're like, okay, well, I'm 14, 15, I want to get laid. Because I grew up with a fucking terrible example of a man, which is my father. My dad was I remember my dad giving me tips on how to get laid at 14. That's a terrible thing.
Yeah, shit, right? You're barely trying to figure out how to get it up right now.
Dude,
control it, right?
I remember a story where I was like, Dad, there's this girl that I like and I want her to be my girlfriend, and I know she likes me, but how do I approach it? And my dad just cuts through all the bullshit. And he's just like, Mijo, you want me to show you how to make her fall in love with you? I was like, what the fuck, dude? Fall in love with me? I just wanted to how do I ask her out, So this is what he tells me, right? He goes, so ask her out, tell her you want her to be your boyfriend or your girlfriend, tell her that you want to be with her. I was like, okay. And then he goes, then you guys go out and have a really nice date. I was like, okay. And then he goes, and then the very next day, just call her and say, hey, I can't see you anymore. And then hang up and don't give her a reason why. I was like, what? He goes, listen to me. Hear me out. He goes, she's going to call you back a lot. He's like, but don't pick up. Don't pick up. If she calls you for 3 days, he goes, wait 3 days. And then you call her back and say, hey, I'm sorry. I had an issue with my family and everything. So he's just telling me to lie. He's telling me to like hurt this girl, lie to her for 3 days, take her back. And then he goes, and then when you see her again, you bring her flowers, you get her some candy, and you make her feel like the best woman in the world. And after that, she will do anything you want. And I'm like, dude, I was just asking to like, how do I ask a girl out? You're telling me how to like emotionally fuck this woman up.
Send her to therapy.
For life. Exactly. Like, and by the way, I'm 14 at this point. So I was a freshman in high school. And he goes, what happens is the psychology of a woman is that you take her out, she's feeling good, she's on cloud 9, you dump her immediately, all those endorphins are leaving her body. And then she's going to wonder what she did wrong. I'm like, you're asking me to implant severe insecurity in this fucking woman. What is wrong with you,
Hey,
dude?
if this girl was Latina, she might even come after you.
No, seriously. And I'm just like, I just remembered like looking back. And at the time, your dad, I was like, I admired him. So I was like, yeah, I'm going to do it. So I wrote all the shit down. But I look back on it, I'm like, that is so emotionally destructive.
And your dad's like, trust me, it works on your mom and all my
dude, definitely.
I'm all my girlfriends.
Yeah, he's just telling me how to like emotionally scar a young girl who I had a crush on. And then, but the thing is, it does work. I did it.
But it worked.
It actually works. It was great, dude. It was
proven results.
Yeah, they stay loyal after that, dude. After you emotionally scar them.
I'm gonna have to try that,
dude. The same shit.
I'm gonna have to give that a shot.
The same shit happens on the opposite end. Women do that to men, and they are like puppy dogs.
Oh hell yeah!
It works.
Oh, like a simp. Yeah, simping out. That's the one thing, dude. Here's the thing. You do need a alpha male piece of shit dad because it also teaches you not to be a simp. Like those guys that just like basically woman worship.
Cucks.
Yeah. Like you don't want to be a woman worshiper.
Right.
Like I have friends that even in their 30s, they're like woman worshipers. They get so excited over a girl right away. I'm like, dude,
this is the one.
Yeah, and I'm like, also, like, women can smell that shit a mile away.
And guys like us on the sideline can look at this stuff and say, bro, what are you doing, man?
Oh, yeah. I mean, yes. Like, you see it, and they're like, it's like the friend that, like, falls in love with a stripper. They're like, oh, no, dude, she's great, dude. She's, she followed me back on Instagram. You're like, that, dude, calm down.
Yeah, she said if we get together, she'll stop stripping altogether and just be with me, right?
Dude, yeah. I mean, so it goes twofold. It's like, you go to one extreme or the other extreme. The thing is that you have to know who you are and then also learn to undo a lot of that toxic shit. Because then you end up hurting people that you actually want to be with.
Yeah.
Which I've done before, and I'm like, I feel like shit doing it.
You feel like an asshole.
Yeah. And then you're like, I'm being a selfish piece of shit too. It's just not fun. It's like, it's not good. You have to have like a good observation and then know who you are.
It might be fun when you're in your teens because you don't know any better.
Well, yeah,
but as
I think
you get older, like our age now, you're like, man, I was really a dick.
Yeah. There's a lot of women that I hurt for sure because I was being a selfish piece of shit.
Yeah.
And sometimes you tell them that up front. You're like, hey, I'm this kind of guy, but then that also makes them want you.
Right.
There's some women that like that. They're attracted to the guy who's
the
like
bad boy.
Yeah, they like
the bad boy, the guy who's not emotionally available. And by the way, like I've heard so many of my female friends tell me that. They're like, yeah, I like this guy. There's this guy, I know he would be good for me on paper. That's what they say. On paper. On paper, but it's like, yeah, but on paper he doesn't make you come. That's what it is. That's why you're not with the guy. You want the guy that like freaking makes you forget your last name as he's inside you and then doesn't call you for 2 weeks. Like that's that's it. And just like how, as a dude, you like the woman that looks really good versus the girl that's like kind of looking good and is like would like cook dinner for you if you asked her to. So it goes twofold,
That's a tough balance, man, because you're going to be sacrificing happiness for sex or somebody looking good to impress your buddies.
Well, dude, that's exactly what my dad did. Like my dad, he was a businessman, so like, he started off really poor and then he made money. And then it was at that time where like, women went for like the machismo, toxic, Tony Montana. Like my dad like thought he was Scarface. So, he wanted to live that Scarface lifestyle.
Yeah.
Like he told me that movie, by the way, like every Latino man, you know how like a lot of guys are like, oh, I want to be Peso Pluma and they're getting the shit, like Edgar haircut and they're wearing the baggy and they're all super skinny. Back in the day, our Latin men wanted to be Tony Montana. But who's played by an Italian, Al Pacino, but still, like that was it. Like I remember my dad telling me, he was like, oh, mijo, like, he made me watch Scarface when I was 5 years old just to show me what like a man is.
Look at that this guy. Is a man right here.
Yeah,
this is the man.
Because he said when he saw that movie in theaters, it made an imprint on him. So when it made him want to hustle to make money. Right. So when he did make money, he basically acted like Tony Montana, except he had a wife and kids already. I'm like, you can't do that. Well, the family, dude, you got to think, ahead of that shit. So
Tony Montana, man.
Tony Montana, man.
He was, dude. That's why. So, and he also, like he taught me so much bad shit that I've had to unlearn. I've kept the good parts.
I was about to say, what are the things that you did keep and the things you let go?
So the things that I kept was like, goal setting, a lot of that like personal development stuff. My dad became obsessed with like Tony Robbins too. So it's like he went 100% in everything. So
he went from Tony Montana to Tony Robbins.
Yeah, exactly. He told me Tony Robbins used to have these infomercials play at night back in the day. So he got one of those programs. And he taught himself learning English by listening to those programs. So he learned English while also getting the motivational stuff. So he was always like very like entrepreneurial when it came to that. So that's exactly what he kept into me, where it was like, like write your goals down. Yeah. What do you want? Pursue it, even if it's hard. Like, so it was like work ethic, life planning, strategy, like always pushing yourself, better yourself, personal development stuff, the personal development, like foundation. But then he also had this other trait where he was just like, if you work really hard, you're going to play really hard. And it was like those two things. And then that's where I realized, I was like, you know what? It's probably not a good thing to fucking, have half your free time just be trying to get laid, or like all your free time is trying to get laid. You got to build like something for like the future. Right. Yeah. It's like happiness, but also planning it out in a way where it's like not going to destroy your life in the future, because it's like that constant pursuit of like instant pleasure. It's not good either. Right. Like you burn out or you get unhappy. It's also, once you start realizing it, like a lot of these like machismo Mexican men, like they just wanted to be told by their dads that they were proud of them. Right, you know what I mean? That's why they're like trying to validate. I remember I had a conversation with my dad recently where I had gone to therapy, and the reason why you want female validation is because you don't value yourself, right? So when you talk to a girl and she responds to you or is like flirting with you, that's like a validation. So you're putting basically your self-love into someone else versus just loving yourself and being like, you know what? I don't need that. I already have a girl back home that really likes me. Why do I need it? Why am I like all of a sudden? So I told him this, and he was just like, oh shit, you think so? Wow, I didn't think of it like that, mijo. Wow. And I'm like, this is just basic. Like, I basically did a therapy session to my dad, and then fucking 2 days later, he shows up with that 20-year-old that came to the comedy show. And I'm like, did you not fucking captivate anything that I just told to you? Oh, jeez. And then he's back in Scarface mode. Like, hey, mírala. So it's, I think he's a lost cause, but he's made his peace.
Where was your father born?
He's from Parral, Chihuahua, Mexico. So northern Mexico. That's why... That's the one thing, dude. When I lived in New York, right? All the Mexicans there are from like Puebla. They call it like Puebla, York. But when you come to Texas, like there's taller Mexicans because we're all northern Mexicans. When I went to New York, dude, they didn't think I was Mexican. There's not a lot of us there. We're outnumbered by Puerto Ricans and Dominicans. They knew I wasn't Puerto Rican, but they also didn't know I was Mexican. Like people always ask me if I was like half. But the thing is that I don't know where I'm going with this, but like I feel like Mexicans are different in every region. So if you're in Texas, the Mexicans are taller because we're all from northern Mexico, Chihuahua. So my whole family's from Chihuahua. My mom's from Juarez. Okay. So when I go to El Paso, I mean, it's like a homecoming show. Yeah, El Paso, all the border town right there is like, that's a special place in my heart. I love that place. I filmed my first movie in El Paso. So it's like, I always want to give back to El Paso. And people think it's my hometown. This goes back to like feeling like a citizen without a country. Like, I was born and raised in San Antonio, moved to LA as a kid. Then when I finished high school, I moved to LA by myself to do comedy and acting and like all this entertainment stuff that I always wanted to do. And then, so I started out really in LA. So when I would come back to San Antonio, people would be like, where are you from? I'm like, well, artistically, I'm from LA, but life-wise, I'm from San Antonio. So like a lot of the comedians here were like, oh, you're an LA comic. You're not a San Antonio guy. But then when I would go to LA, they're like, oh, you're from San Antonio. Do you know this comic and this? I was like, I don't really,
You can't win that one, right?
You can't win. So now people were like, where are you from now? I was like, well, I just moved from, oh, you're a New York guy. You're an East Coast guy. And I'm like, well, no, I'm from here. I moved back to Texas, you know? So it's just one of those things where I'm just like, you know what? I guess I'd just say I'm like from everywhere now. It's
so
hard.
In comedy, you said LA, San Antonio, and New York.
Yeah.
Is there like a diversity within comedy, within those cultures?
Big time. Culturally wise, like LA, there's a lot of East Coast. There's a lot of like 4th, 5th generation Mexican American, a lot of Chicano. They don't really identify with especially like Tejano tech. They don't know anything about that, like the cowboy boots and all that. They grew up with like Nike Cortezes and Dodger jerseys.
Dickies.
Dickies.
House
like,
shoes, wife beaters.
Yeah, dude. That's like, there are those dudes who are like straight up like grew up in, you know, Montebello, East LA, some of the other neighborhoods there, again, Alhambra, like all those neighborhoods there. So like they don't identify with anything Texas. They like the whole like cowboy boots, cowboy hat, the paisa. Their paisas actually assimilate more to them. So like it's funny when paisas come here like from Mexico, right? If you guys don't know what a paisa is, it's a Mexican who just got here yesterday. And when they come here, they act real Texan. And they're like country music. They get a Ford F-150, or you know what I mean, or a Silverado with a Ford F-150 engine in it. You know, so they do that. They want to act more Texan, and then when the paisas go over there, they want to act more. They wear like the flat billed hats. Yeah. They get the tattoos. They assimilate to like Chicano culture. Which is greatly influenced by like the whole West Coast hip hop scene and all that. So they're totally different. So when you do certain jokes, dude, like, you know, people know what a cholo is here, but if you do a cholo joke in LA, it's like, pfft. And then here it'll get a laugh because everyone knows what a cholo is. Right. But if you do a cholo joke in the East Coast, nobody knows what the fuck a cholo is.
Right.
Yeah. Like Puerto Ricans don't go cholo, like they're anything. What I've seen about the Latinos in the East Coast is they actually really just take in all of like hip hop culture. So it's like Biggie, like Nas, like all those. So they actually kind of like, for lack of a better term, they kind of culturally lean towards like what black dudes are.
Like urban.
Yeah. Urban. Yeah. So like Puerto Rican dudes, they'll dress like, you know, whatever the rappers are wearing and everything. So they kind of like gravitate towards that. So I'm like, but then now they're kind of hitting that Latin flavor of like Bad Bunny and all that stuff. So it's like, it's kind of an in-between. Yeah, it's like an in-between. There's a difference there. So kind of seeing it from that angle, like I've been able to kind of observe the different Latino types in each city, and comedy wise, they also gravitate towards different stuff. Like here in Texas, I learned that like people love it when you do like real like Mexican jokes, and they like them dirty.
Yeah,
they like it racial. Like there's not really a line here, which is fun as a comic. But that being said, it's like sometimes if you go like in that direction and then you try to pull them back and try to do like a joke about like the CEO killer. That's like a topical kind of bit. Sometimes they'll be like, oh, like they lose track, you know, because they're still thinking about your pussy joke from 2 minutes ago, or like the joke you said about between Mexicans and white women, you know what I mean? Like, so those jokes throw them off. But like if you go to the Northeast, people are kind of in tune with what's happening. So it's like you can do a lot of the topical stuff. You can do a little bit more of the nuanced political stuff. And for me, like I really like New York because people have a great appreciation for the live arts out there. So they love, I mean, it's a live entertainment town. People still go to plays out there. People go to Broadway. People go to independent theater. People go to like, dive bars. They go watch jazz, dude. The fucking jazz bars in the West Village. Like it's an arts town. I just watched that Bob Dylan movie, or as I call it, Autism the Musical. Bob Dylan was autistic, dude. Dude, yeah.
Yeah, that's the way he talked.
Bob Dylan, all my friends, like all my white friends are like, dude, Dylan was ahead of his time. I'm like, no, he's just the first to monetize a mental illness, dude. Yeah.
Just like Ozzy Osbourne today.
Well, dude, yeah.
You don't understand what the hell he's saying. Unless he sings.
I don't know. I didn't grow up with Bob Dylan because, like I had a fucking Tony Montana dad, but like all my white friends, they all had like, white boomer dads that like fought against the system yet became executives at Exxon. You know what I mean? Like, so I didn't grow up with that, but it was cool in that movie is they show like, what the music scene is out there, and it's very community based.
Yeah.
And people are trying to like help each other out. So in the Northeast, I really like that. Like for comedy wise, it's such a cool place to where people really respect that. When you go to LA is like a big media town. It's like movie premieres. What have you been on as an actor? Big names. So like, there's not as an appreciation for just like the arts. There's more of like, oh, who I saw Dave Chappelle at the Comedy Store. And you're like, yeah, what about the other comedians? Like they talked about some real shit. No, it was all about, Dave Chappelle, which I understand. But at the same time, it's like when you would tell people you're like in LA, you're like, I'm a comedian. They're like, oh, what have you been on? Have you been on Joe Rogan? Like, have you been so it's like, it's all about like clout based.
Right. That makes it a lot tougher, doesn't it? Because the freelancers or the amateurs have a tougher time climbing that ladder.
Yeah, right? Like people, like I knew in LA, like I had felt like I really did something was when I got on stage at the Laugh Factory. And then people, all of a sudden, they'd be like, you're a comedian. I'm like, yeah. And they're like, have you performed at Laugh Factory? I'm like, yeah, I actually performed there last week. And they're like, whoa, okay. So it's like over there, like people don't take you serious until you're doing something with it, versus in New York, people are like, you're a comedian. Oh, really? Yeah, you're a comedian. Like, what do you like to talk about? Like, it's different. People want to kind of get to know you more. So as far as like people go, I really liked the Northeast a lot. LA is great though, because it does kind of give you that spotlight. And especially the Mexicanos there, like they are like, they really are proud of other Mexicanos, but they're also more of like their hood and everything. So it's like, if you go super specific, like Mexican jokes, like if you do stuff in Spanish, like there might be a room of Mexicanos, but like only one person speaks Spanish. Here in San Antonio, like you can do a whole set in Spanish and everyone's going to be laughing because more people are bilingual here. They're mostly like first, second. You do get those older generation, but for the most part, everyone speaks Spanish here.
We're bilingual. That's a difference, right?
Totalmente.
Spanglish.
El Spanglish.
What would you say is the most difficult part of being a comedian, Bryan?
Man, it's just the grind, dude.
Yeah.
That's it.
So
it's hard. Also,
do you, I mean, obviously you enjoy it, right? But like, I mean, what, like, does it attack you pretty hard? It seems like you're on the road a lot.
Yeah. I've been pretty blessed the last 2 years specifically to be able to like perform the way I want to perform. I would say though, man, as I've gotten older and I started doing more stand-up, I've been doing it for 12 years. Okay. So I also did some other projects in between. I'm also a filmmaker as well. I put out a series, so it's like I like to stay creative in that sense. For me, I like just to say comedian. They're like stand-up comedian. I'm like, yes, I do stand-up, but I also like to produce original stuff, and I like to do Latino stuff.
Yeah. Because man, you're people that have sorry to interrupt you, but people that have not seen Bryan on Instagram, amazing skits, freaking hilarious.
Thank you, dude.
Very creative, and very. I love that you talk about Latinos and Latinx and shit like that. I love that shit, bro. But so, what kind of films have you created, or other than I've only seen your Instagram stuff, so that's why I asked.
Yeah. So I have a web series. I put out a web series.
Okay.
It's called Migrants. So what I did is I took the migrant crisis that was hitting New York, but I put a comedic spin on it. So like for me, when I saw that the news of the migrants arriving to New York, again, we talk about ideas. Like what are ideas that stick with you, right? So now, before my filter would be, oh, how do I make this a joke just for the stage? When I start off, my whole pedigree and my background is stand-up. That's my comedy foundation. So when I would take an idea, I'd be like, how do I express this on stage? The good thing now is that I've written and produced some films, and I really love the storytelling aspect of film because you can show a character in a way that you just can't on stage. And you could tell a deeper story that can just be out of your head, which is so fucking awesome.
Yeah.
So that idea, when it hit me, I'm like, it's not going to work on the stage. So the only way to like tell this idea is to like actually show it on screen. So when that news started happening, when they were shipping migrants from like Central and South America and Mexico to New York, where they were busing them, it was used as like a political game. They're using people as a political game, right? You had Governor Greg Abbott do that. You had Ron DeSantis doing that. And by the way, let them do it, because the whole aspect of this country is like, it's true. Mexico doesn't, whatever your views are on immigration, every country deserves to patrol its borders, regardless of how you feel. But the thing is that as a comic, when I saw them doing that, I was like, damn it. Because I know these woke hipsters in Brooklyn. Like, I know my friends that are just like, wearing shirts that say like, keep the immigrants, deport the racists. I'm like, actually, immigrants, we're pretty fucking racist too. I'm like, you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. Because if you want to deport all the racists, you're going to be deporting a lot of immigrants, man. So when they started, all my friends are like very like, progressive, which God bless them. They feel like they're doing the best for the world.
Yeah.
In my mind, I was like, what if you get like these old, fucking old school Latinos clashing with these like progressive woke hipsters that I know? And I got an idea for a show where it was like, what if when these Latinos get here, there's like these like bleeding heart liberals that were like, let's help them assimilate, and then having those two worlds collide. So I basically wrote a pilot episode. We shot it, and the whole premise is woke hipsters meet old school Latinos. And we shot it in the vein of like The Office and Parks and Rec. And we put out the pilot episode and it went really viral. And people are like, I need to see more of this. Yeah. Like, this is fresh. This is different. So I was able to get some money and produce the rest of the series. So we did 6 episodes.
Nice.
The runtime total is about an hour's worth of content. So these episodes are between 7 to 10 minutes, except our finale. Our finale is a full half hour of television, which is 24 minutes. And we put it out. I even had a guy in El Paso do a music video because he loved the show.
Oh, yeah.
And he was like, let me write a song for this series because I want to do it. So we'd actually have a corrido for the song. So it was cool, man. And it just was like, I was able to like work with some incredibly talented Latino actors that nobody's heard of.
Yeah.
And that's the one thing. It's like, there's so many of us that want to work, and this is where I do kind of turn into like Pancho Villa.
Where's your hat?
For filmmakers, like, right. Because
you're a pioneer, man.
Well, like with Hollywood doesn't believe in the Latin dollar, dude. They just don't believe in it. And it's crazy because we're the second largest demographic. They don't know how to market to us. They don't know what to do. And unfortunately, the people that they listen to is they listen to creators and filmmakers that want them to show a certain side of Latinos. Mm-hmm. Yep, and if it's not showing if it's only showing that side, Latinos know when they're being lied to, or they know when stuff is being spoon fed to them, and they're afraid to show the other side of it, which is, hey, we can laugh at ourselves, dude. Give us the Wayans Brothers Latino shit, where if you watch Don't Be a Menace, right? Like, if you watch a Wayans Brothers movie, they're doing a lot of black jokes, and they're doing a lot of stereotype race. But guess what? You know who's obsessed with it? Black people. Because they're like, it's for us, by us.
And it's funny, and it relates.
Exactly.
Just like the Dave Chappelle skits.
Yes.
Those all relate, and
dude, yes.
funny.
Dave Chappelle was doing, every black dude's like, I know a crackhead in my neighborhood. You know, like, he's doing the Tyrone character,
the black,
like,
white supremacists,
right? So it's like they've given that, they've given that leeway to black artists, which they deserve because they fought for it. But like with Latinos, they're still afraid of that, dude. And especially now in the era of like very woke kind of progressive film. They're afraid to show that side of it. But I'm like, don't be afraid of it because it's from us. They're going to know a Latino wrote and directed this, or that's a real Latino. So
have you seen anybody that's gotten close to that in your eyes? Like
comedy-wise, no, man. I'm being honest with you. Like, comedy-wise, no. Because even with like the George Lopez show, like that show ended, 15 years ago?
Yeah.
So it's like, what have we had since then? I mean, they put on Latin comedy shows, but what they call it in Hollywood is they call it higher brow, right? They're like, they call it elevated content. That's the term that they use in Hollywood. Elevated Latino content, meaning it has to be the poor, the character where they're being discriminated at their college because they want to be a lawyer or they want to be a doctor and they're being racially discriminated by. I'm like, dude, that shit is so done, you know? And with comedy, they don't know which way to attack it. They're afraid to show Latinos in a certain light comedically because they're afraid that there's going to be that voice that says, oh, that's kind of racist or anything.
They're trying to force racism and discrimination, all kinds of shit with the Mexican population. Like, we're all oppressed or something. No, we're not.
No, we're not.
I don't think regardless of what the media says, we're not oppressed, man.
No, and you'll never find a Mexican that will say that, dude.
But it's funny, like the George Lopez show you said, it was more like they were a well-to-do Mexican family.
Yeah.
Like making $130,000 a year, 140, whatever.
Right.
But we want to hear about the Mexican family that's making $30,000 a year, $40,000 a year. What happens in their household?
Yeah.
There's a lot of funny shit that happens in these households.
A lot of funny shit.
Right.
Like, you know, and that's the one thing with like social media, you see that. Like, I'll do jokes that are like, you know, quote unquote, like, what an executive would say, like, oh, we can't show that because that's kind of discriminating. And then I'm like, yeah, but then it gets, 5 million views online. Yeah. So it's like, there's obviously a market for it. So the whole point is just like, I like to call it unsanitized comedy, meaning it's to the point where we're showing what it is. As far as like Latino comedy content, like what Hollywood wants to give us is they want to give us, when you go to like those like higher end Mexican restaurants, when they bring out the tacos, they're in that like metal taco frame. And as soon as when you get tacos and those aluminum W's, you know those tacos are ass, right? You're like, this is gonna suck so bad. I overpaid for it.
I want the grease hanging out and
and what Mexicans want is they want the tacos that are just given on a piece of aluminum foil, where the salsa is in like little plastic bags that you have to open with your teeth and throw in it. Those are the best fucking tacos. Like, we want this. We want the fucking food truck tacos, and Hollywood is afraid to give that to us because they're afraid that it may
offend someone.
It may offend someone. And it's like, by the way, if it does, great. We're in the world now where if people are offended and people are laughing, you're actually creating good stuff.
Yeah. They offended me, but I feel like they offended me by using the same Mexican in every fucking movie. What's that guy's name? The one that's in
Hector?
Fast and the Hector, yeah. Fucking Fast and the Furious.
By the way, dude, you know what I love about is like how many Mexicans love Fast and Furious?
A lot of them.
I think we're keeping that franchise alive,
yeah.
right?
I think we're keeping, pretty much.
Where
probably,
we
right?
are. It's us and Filipinos that are keeping that franchise alive.
What are they on number 20 now?
Yeah,
Shit.
number 20, and each movie's $1 billion, and it's Jaime and his homies coming to watch it. So the thing is, like, that Hector character, he's a stereotypical cholo,
Yeah, dude.
East LA cholo in it, and that people love it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, we're not offended by it. It's like, they also need to have executives that give us that chance where it's like, okay, I'm gonna roll the dice on this show because I believe in it. And like, to me, it reminds me of like, you need to have people that come from your background to get in those positions and those roles because they're gonna know the nuance about it. The thing, if you look back in like film, what changed the point of view on Italian Americans, because I think Italian Americans and Mexicans are very similar to the vein of when Italian Americans first got here, they were very discriminated. They're Catholic. They're not Protestant like we are. They're very, large family. They're all about their food, their culture, everything. I was like, this is kind of very parallel to Mexicans. And then they also started getting into organized crime, right? So that added to that stereotype. You had Al Capone, like all those guys. So what Italian filmmakers started doing, like Francis Ford Coppola, Martin Scorsese, is they started taking all of those stereotypes and then creating films. But they were the voices telling those stories. It's like, I know those people. That's my family. I grew up in that neighborhood.
Right.
Yeah.
So what they started to do is they started to tell those stories, and then all of a sudden they turned those stereotypes into real people, and people started falling in love with those characters. You watch Goodfellas, you like Tommy, you like Robert De Niro, like you started to see, and all of a sudden people started empowering themselves through those stereotypes. Exactly.
They turned into the heroes instead of the villains.
Yep.
Right. And they were still doing terrible shit, but they're cracking jokes. Their families, they start seeing that, they become drug addicts and everything. So it's like they're very flawed. They're unsanitized. But at the same time, like that's what made them so fucking cool.
You were rooting for them.
You're rooting for them.
Yeah.
So, and then, you obviously have, The Godfather, right? Like that really flipped everything out on the inside out. And people started
seeing.
seeing.
With the hose or?
Well, it's like you started seeing those voices getting it put out there by the same people who grew up in those, and then it changed the whole ethos of it.
And you can relate to business in that sense, like the strong arm. I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
Yeah,
all these things.
There was these universal things. Like everyone cares about their family. Everyone has friends. Everyone's trying to go for something.
Yeah.
So there was those universal aspects that people can bite on, right? But then the nourishment came from really creating good original characters and telling these stories, even though they were doing quote unquote bad things. They resonate with you. Right. And then Italians watch that and they go, oh yeah, I know my uncle's like that. My nephew is like that. My dad was like that. My dad was a good fella, like
a good guy.
Yeah, exactly.
Good guy.
So that's what I feel like with with Latinos. It's like we need to have those projects being put out there, and no one's gonna do it unless you do it. So people.
Dude, you just blew my mind on this shit. Now, I'm sitting here thinking, like, I'm trying to figure out in my head what movie, what series, what fucking anything that they've been, aggressively with Latinos or Hispanics and showing that heritage, right? I don't even remember the show, but I watched it for a little bit. It was on Amazon, I think it was on Amazon Prime. And it was about this Latino that like lived in LA and trying to find a job, and like it was just weird. Like, and I watched like 2 episodes. I was like, I kind of like it, but I don't, because I feel like they're faking it, like, in a way. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, I think I know what you're talking about. But the thing is, like, for me, anytime like a Latin filmmaker or creator like gets an opportunity, I'm like, dude, just please run with it. Like, I hope they get 10 more, and I hope whatever show or movie they create is a huge hit, because that makes it easier for everyone. It's like there needs to be that breakthrough.
We need it, man. We definitely.
What about Chingo Bling? You seen Chingo Bling and all his skits?
I love Chingo, man. Yeah, I work with Chingo.
Yeah, last week, right?
Yeah.
you worked with him last week?
2 weeks ago, we did the Arlington Improv, and Chingo's a great guy, dude. And he very much loves.
He's funny.
Putting out.
Heck yeah.
He really loves working and helping other Latino creatives, man. Like, he reached out to me and he was like, dude, I'd love for you to be part of my show. And he got some other great comics. Shout out to Javi Luna, Nana Rodriguez. Like, he really looks for really funny, original voices. And when you go to the show, there's 4 Latino comics on the show, 5 of them, but we're all talking about different things. Like, we all have different points of view. So to me, I'm like, that's so cool that he's doing that. I like to do that. Like, for me, like, I love to like work and try to elevate other Latino comics. And also, actors. So like when I did my show, one of the great things that like people would point out is they go, man, you have a really good cast, and it's an all Latino cast. And they're so funny, they're original. And people are like, how come I've never heard of them before? I'm like, because there's not that many roles for them, dude. They're all
right.
like, like a couple of my friends are Latinas, and they all get the same, like, I'm the maid, I'm the nurse,
The mistress.
like, seriously, stuff like that. Like,
That's crazy.
So they're not getting those roles, especially comedically. Like I said, comedically, like, I feel like they're afraid to tap into that. There are some shows that are coming up, which are great, but like we need more, and we need to be okay with like showing the flaws in our culture.
Give us
Bryan,
variety.
you're onto something, man.
Yeah, you are, man. You really are.
So you can trailblaze this whole thing. With your series, your show series, I think this could be a turning point or a starting point for what you're talking about.
Yeah, man. I just so like comedically, like I said, there's certain platforms that are better. So it's like if I can help people as far as like learning more about our culture and everything through a show, I'll do that. If I can do it through a stand-up routine, I'll do that. If I can do it through content online, I'll do that. So there's so many avenues right now. I do think it's probably the best era to be a creative because it doesn't take a lot of money to put a lot of this stuff out there. And then you can also reach your audience directly, which I love, like that to me is the biggest thing with social media. It's like, I enjoy it because I can speak directly to my audience. I don't need to go through, back in the day, a Tonight Show, or I don't need to go through, or like ABC has to greenlight my show before I can get it out there. I can literally shoot and edit and direct it and put it out there and have it find an audience. So that's the one thing I did, and it was cool to see that. And now I can take that and if a Hulu, because right now with our show, like we are working to pitch it out with my manager and everything, is we're actually going to start taking meetings to present the show because we have interest in it now. So it's like you first have to create it, and it's kind of like another Tejano, Robert Rodriguez. He did exactly that. I read his book, and it really was like one of those things where I saw that even back in the day when you actually had to buy film and get it developed, and it cost 10 times more to shoot something, he still did it. And I'm like, well, now, like, you guys got these digital cameras, you guys have this whole podcast studio, you can do it now. Why not do that? So that's the good thing. It's like, it's an era of creatives. You got to break through the noise, find the noise. And you're able to connect with people directly.
Where can we find this miniseries as well, if we wanted to go watch it?
Yeah, so right now it's on YouTube.
Okay.
If you guys are on my Instagram, it's in my bio right there. You guys can click through that, or just go to YouTube and search Migrants Comedy. Okay, that's it.
Maybe we can pull it up, JRock.
Yeah, let me pull it up real quick.
Yeah, you can do that.
I'll let y'all chat it up real quick for a second.
Yeah, man.
So how has social media changed your comedic game? Have you always had social media throughout your comedic career?
You know what? It's one of those things where, like, it's funny because a lot of stand-ups, like, we start off hating social media because it kind of goes against everything.
Bryan, what's it called? I apologize.
Just type in Migrants Comedy.
Migrants?
Yeah. Yeah, because if you just type in Migrants Comedy, it's just a bunch of, like, news people just talking shit. You type in Migrants Comedy, and that's literally it. It's the first one right there.
Nice. Okay.
I wonder if we can play that without getting kicked off.
I think we can.
I own the rights to it, so
Yeah, I don't see why we wouldn't. Let me snag it. Let's see if we can play this.
Hi, I'm January, and I am the head of operations here at the Migrant Integration Initiative here in Williamsburg.
Hi, my name is Georgie, and my pronouns are they, them, and I'm actually the Latinx director and translator here at the Migrant Integration Initiative.
So we started this organization because we wanted to help integrate the migrants that were being shipped over here by the Texas governor, dictator. We're actually welcoming them with open arms. However, there have been quite a few, more than expected.
Which we're very grateful
Yes,
for.
yes.
But
But
it's been slightly challenging.
people can definitely watch it.
That's so cool.
Yeah, it's 6 episodes. I think the pilot were about 100,000 views on it.
Is that you right there?
Yeah, that's me, dude. I played the Paisa character because in New York I wasn't gonna be able to find someone who was like bilingual and can do all like the Mexican fucking verbiage, you know, like este cabrón, you know what I mean? Like that doesn't exist. By the way, cabrón, I realize that Puerto Ricans say cabrón and they mean it. It's like a terrible curse word to them. So if you say cabrón,
Like
that means like,
motherfucker.
yeah, it means like the most vicious thing. But to, you know, us Mexicans, if you say cabrón, like you could be talking about
It's like dude.
Yeah.
you can be talking about your priest. You're like,
Right.
ay, este cabrón
Yeah.
me perdonó los pecados, you know what I mean? Like, you know what I mean? So it's like that. So yeah, to us, it's like it's a sign of love,
Yeah.
you know?
Just like pato. Pato to us means duck.
yeah.
Pato in Puerto Rican means gay. It's
Oh,
the pato.
Really?
Right.
Really? Oh man,
Yeah,
I
no.
thought they were calling me ducks when I went to Puerto Rico.
Or
Boy.
in England,
Oh, shit.
to blow a fag means something to us. You don't want to blow a fag, right? But over there,
Bro, are
you're
you
gonna
coming
smoke
on
a
to me right
cigarette.
now?
You're gonna smoke a cigarette.
Yes.
It's weird.
That's
Yeah.
what that means.
Yeah,
Okay.
there's a lot of that's the one thing. So I remember when I wrote the script, I had some like actors in New York, and they're like, "Is this guy angry and everything?" I'm like, I can't do it. So I was like, I'm gonna have to play it. They're like, "Why is he so angry?" I'm like, "No, you don't get it. It's like he's just talking, man."
Yeah, we're talking about the social media game. So
Yeah,
social
yeah,
media has definitely changed perspectives, changed the way that we see comedies, TV, everything. So it allows, and you talked about this earlier, it allows comedians and amateurs to be able to showcase their skill
Yeah.
in avenues that or platforms that nobody else could ever have them on. Stage. So the world is your stage, and social media is definitely a stage.
Yeah, it's great. I think to me, I always say social media is what you make out of it.
Yeah.
You know, so when people
Absolutely.
are like, "Oh, I hate it," you know, it's manipulative, it's addicting, like it's all that. And it's like if you allow it to do that, it will do that. I really enjoyed it because it helped me kind of find an audience and also connect with people that I never thought I would be able to connect with. It's kind of like a business card for me, and it's also it's a portfolio of my work.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so it's something that can grow. I can reach out to people, I can nurture it. But like stand-up comics, like for me, I just like every other comic, like I started off hating it because it kind of goes against everything you stand for in comedy. Like comedy is like, I'm going to create a joke that takes a long time. Sometimes it takes a long time to carve it out and create this like wonderful joke. And I don't want to just give it away to the internet. You know, like I want an audience to find that element of surprise.
Yeah.
Because comedy is all about it's all about just basically it's a magic trick, right? It's like, here's what I'm showing you, but in reality, here's what's happening. And then the aha moment is the laughter, right? So social media, it's more on the sense of whatever's happening, talk about it right now.
Right.
Whatever you're putting out there, put it out there now. And it's very much like, as a comedian, like it kind of fucks with your mindset where you're like, wait a minute. So like if I just if I do the dumbest joke about the LA fire, it'll just show up, or like I'll get more views than if I write this wonderful fucking crafted joke, which could be about the LA fire, but it's like it's going to take more time to develop it. Right. So like the timing aspect, it's not, a lot of comedians don't like it, you know? But if you can kind of put that aside and put a new filter on it and just say, hey, look, this is just a tool for me to like put out the thoughts that I have now. And then I could use those more crafted jokes and save those. That's kind of my mindset. Is like, I'll save my more crafted jokes and put those in the live show. But the other stuff, I'll put that out immediately. So like, I'll give people an incentive to want to see me live, because then there's jokes that I will never put on social media because I want to keep them until I film like a special or something. Right. But so that's the one aspect. The other aspect is because you have certain comedians that are blowing up way faster than they otherwise would have. Because I come from the school of comedy where like I started back in like 2012. I came from the school of comedy to where when you were told that it takes 7 to 10 years to become a real comedian, meaning you have to just fucking
put in your reps.
Do the yeah, exactly. It's like, you know, we used to treat it this sense of how long does it take for you to become a world champion fighter? You know, how long do you have to do it for? Right? It's almost like in wrestling, JRock, like, you know, right? Like how long would, like, you would have to prove yourself from being you know, one of the guys who are not even on TV to a mid-carder, right? To finally becoming like you know, a main eventer. And then finally you maybe get a shot at the, you know, the WWE championship or like the Intercontinental title, which was basically the step before you get the world title. So it was like, that's the school of thought I was taught. Like every comic that I opened for, they're like, dude, you know, I know you say you have 30 minutes right now, but that 30 minutes sucks, because in 5 years you're gonna have a real half hour of comedy, and then you're gonna be a headliner. So like, you gotta like do your work. Which in a sense, like, it would weed out a lot of the weaker comics. Like it would weed out a lot of, you know, quote unquote, like hacks. That's what we were called. Like people would call you a hack, you know, because you would do these jokes that were crowd pleasers, but there's nothing of substance there. You're basically using the same idea. And now you can have a couple things go super viral and you can find it. And then those guys think that they're headliners now because they go, hey, you know, when I go out on the road, people buy tickets and they're coming to see me. Yeah. But then you also have to give them an hour-long show, and can you do that? And that, of course, if you just started a year ago, 2 years ago, you can't do that. But they're getting those opportunities now. So a lot of the older comics who are kind of those road dogs, right, those headliners, they really hated it for that, and they started getting less dates because these TikTokers and Instagram guys started blowing up faster. But the thing is that, again, just use that tool. If you're that much better, and this kid just started 2 weeks ago, and he's a 20-year-old, and now he's selling 300 tickets in your market, you should be able to do that too. Yeah. So it's like, it's an evolution of it, where it's like, comedy's becoming much more faster digestible. People do not value it. Comedy specials are not special anymore.
There's so many out there now.
There's so many out there now. You know, your favorite comic puts out a special next week. Your other favorite comic puts out a special. So it's like, all of a sudden, it's become part of the content algorithm machine. Do
you think that, going back to that real quick, like so many specials coming out, is it because comedy's getting so popular again, or there's so many comics? Netflix does shoot them out a lot, and there's some people that I never even fucking heard of. I love it, I like it, but it's not, like you said, it's not rare.
Are we just throwing shit against the wall to hope it sticks?
Yeah.
Well, no, it's just a different era of entertainment, dude. Now it's all about creating a micro audience. So there's not going to be a comedy special other than if it's like one of the established greats like Chappelle, Cat Williams, Louis C.K., those kind of powerhouses in comedy. When they put out a special, it's going to move the needle, right? Everyone else, it's going to be time. Like it's going to be a thing where like you find your audience, you have your audience, you give stuff to keep your audience happy. Yes, maybe you'll find a crossover audience, you know, if you do so-and-so's podcast, or, you know, something goes viral, or, you know, like people found out that canceling a comedian was basically great marketing. So it's like, oh, this person's canceled. CNN's talking about you. Oh, I'm going to see why everyone hates this comedian. And then people go and watch you. So now you cross over because you were canceled. It's one of those weird things where I think entertainment has changed. Entertainment is now called content. Movies are considered content. Comedy specials are content. We've become in a world where people are watching you on their phones. They want to just digest it right away, which is fine. So it's like I think it's just different now. It's never going to go back to it. And if you don't adjust, you're going to be left behind.
Yeah, even with the YouTubers, you got Matt Rife that has YouTube specials. You got what's Jackson's name? He does a lot of crowd work. Something Jackson. Jeez, but you know, but when I'm like. But then you got guys like David Lucas that like I haven't seen a special at him yet.
David Lucas?
Yeah, unless
I know he put one out. I mean, he's a good friend of mine. I know he put one out last year. Yeah.
See, but you know, but there's
like, so much.
Yeah, and again, you got Matt Rife. He put out two. He put one, I think, early last year, and then he did his crowd special that he put out recently, I think a couple months ago.
And there's also like I've noticed like a whole subculture of like people know comedy so well because of podcasts like this, but also you have comedians talking about like the nuances of comedy and like all this stuff that there's a whole submarket of people who know comedy like very well, like as much as someone who does stand up, but they just don't do stand up, but they love that world of it. So you see like commentary on comedy, which just seems so alien to me. So people do commentary about podcasts, they do commentary about stand up specials and everything. And it's like, there's just so many submarkets now. So I think there's room for everyone. Because I mean, it's like if you can find 1 million people in the world that love what you do,
that's what I say.
You're making a living.
As long as you find your fan base.
Yeah, dude. And that's the one thing. It's like there was a few years ago where I was like, I would get like, I'm like, why is it doing this? And it's like, you just got to accept it. You're like, this is what it is. I can make my noise, or I can just be irrelevant. I can create my stuff or not create it. I always err on the side of just create and then forget about it, and then create the next thing and then forget about it. Like you basically kind of need to have short-term memory. So it's like you put something out, enjoy it. Once you're done with it, pat yourself on the back, forget about it, move on to the next thing. And if you're doing that, you'll be pretty good. Like you're always going to be further ahead than you were before. So to me, it's like I always try to put something out. That's why I used to be much more careful about my jokes and my material and all this stuff. But the world now, it's like just put stuff out and go back. And if something blows up, it blows up. And if it doesn't, forget about it. Move on to the next thing.
About 7-8 years ago, we were very accepting of crude humor, dick jokes, all these things. Or we were very fond of it now, and then it kind of went away for a little bit. People were very passive, whether it be actors, comedians, whatever. Oh, let's be careful on what we say. We don't want to offend anybody. But what I love today, there's a lot more live stand-up comedy going on in the world, especially around here in the San Antonio area. And comics are just being themselves. We saw you the other night, man. You were yourself. You were in rare form. You were hitting the crowd with jokes, and even my wife was. Because she likes comedy, but she was really laughing at your stuff because it was relatable.
Yeah,
the whole relationship concept with you and your wife and all that. She loves that kind of stuff. We love it. We like the Steve Trevino type comedy, and we like all kinds of stuff. But when it relates to us, it's a home run, man. And Bryan, you hit a home run the other night.
Oh, thank you, dude.
Over at Upstage Comedy.
I appreciate that.
I've seen it 2 times now, bro. And you've had some really lengthy time each time So I've really enjoyed your comedy, bro. And
Thank you, man.
I even which one? I think it was like your whitewash, like that joke.
Oh yeah, the whitewash stuff.
Whitewash. Like the first time I heard it, it's funny. Second time I heard it was even more. I laughed even harder the second time, right? So it's just like I seen where you've gone with your length of work. How long did it take you to get to that length? Because no offense to any of the comedians I've seen locally or as of recent, I don't see them doing that much time, and I've kind of heard them a little bit more heard them how long they've been doing it around here more.
Yeah.
Compared to you as well, moving around, right? So it's like I see them, and they're like, "What? You gave me maybe that's their time, but at the same time, I feel like just like wrestling or anything else, you show your work, you get more time, right?"
Yeah, I mean, it just depends on. I think the shows that you saw me. So it was like one was when I headlined here in New Braunfels, and then the other one was featuring for Alex Raimundo, which is Alex was very gracious to give me that opportunity.
He just messaged us, by the way. I got to reach out to him.
Oh, he's a great
Awesome.
he's great. I mean, you see how much time he does. Like he's like a real like craftsman. So, I think the amount of time it's not how many minutes you do, it's what you're putting out in those minutes and what's actually a joke. And I think, I even for myself, like there's jokes where I'm like, oh, this is just to maybe pad out a runtime a little bit. There's jokes that I really want to say. There's jokes that I have to get the audience on my side before I can get into them. So as you start doing it more, you start realizing you're like, I can take the audience in kind of different directions that I want, depending on what I want to open with. Believe it or not, man, I mean, I have like probably another hour of jokes you probably have not even said yet.
That's awesome.
So it's like there's certain things where like I will move my set around based on where I'm happy with it and where I'm not.
Okay.
Or I'm also to the point now where it's like if I want to like get the audience against me but then win them back, I can do that. If I want them to like just put on a good show, I'll put on a good show. So It just really does depend on like where I want to be at. I tend to adjust my set for how I'm feeling for that day. And then there's times where I'm like, no, I really want to like just do these set of jokes. And if the audience is with me, they're with me. And if they're not, then it's all right. I'll be on stage again tomorrow. So
that's awesome.
I think overall, like, I think if you're happy with your set and you're getting the laughs, because at the end of the day, the audience does need to be entertained. They do need to be laughing.
Yeah.
I think that's the most important thing. I do believe in putting on a good show. I want people to be happy when I'm done performing. That doesn't mean you spoon feed them everything, but it means to the point where like, if you want to talk about this topic, do it in a way to where you can get the audience and you're still happy with it. Right. So there's a lot. I come from
strategy, man.
I come from that school of thought where it's like I don't want to just put something out and if it's like, oh, fuck the audience, I think it's good. I don't like to do that. I kind of come from like David Mamet is one of my favorite writers. He's a playwright and he talks about like no matter what you're talking about, the ending goal should always be to entertain.
Yep.
No matter what you're talking about.
That's
so if you want to talk about racial dynamics in the country, which you see comedians talk about like Chris Rock and Dave Chappelle, they're fucking great and it's hilarious. And if you want to talk about like international politics or something like that, there's great comics who do that. Bill Maher, everything. So it's like you carve out your audience to that, but at the end of the day, you got to entertain. Yeah. Right? It doesn't matter if something is making a political statement. If it's not entertainment, then don't be an entertainer. Be a fucking commentator. Be a newscaster. Right. Yeah. So that to me is like I'm from that school of thought where it's like no matter what I want to talk about it, I need to make sure that it has a punchline and people are laughing.
Yeah. That's what's up, man. Yeah. So as we're getting closer to the end here, buddy, I got a question. What is if there was something that you would want everybody to know about you that doesn't know about you, what would it be?
That I'm super gay. No, we
were gay when you're hanging out with chocolate.
Something that people normally don't know about me.
Yeah, that you would want us to know about you as well.
Well, I would say, damn, but I don't know. That's you want to know. I guess it's like I love. I get that you want to know. I mean, I love boxing too, dude. Like,
Okay. No, for sure, bro.
I don't know if that's like one of those things. Like, it's not going to be a profound thing where it's like, yeah, this guy likes boxing. It's whatever, dude. But
I mean, if I wouldn't have hung out with you for this little bit that we've been able to, I would have never known that you like wrestling. You know what I mean? Like,
yeah.
So it's kind of cool.
Dude, I love. There's a part of me. I was like, in another life, I would have loved to have been a prize fighter. I did box for a bit, but then I realized I'm like, this hurts too much. And then I do comedy. I'm like, no, that hurts even more. But no, dude, I love boxing. I follow it religiously. Like, I'm a huge fight fan. I pretend to be a boxer. I fucking shadow box at home.
in front of the mirror.
You punch a lot of meat.
I do. I beat the meat quite a bit. Did so right before I got here. It was nice. But yeah, no, I don't know if there's like anything crazy as far as like creative wise. I think to me, dude, it's like I really just want to like be able to check off every box that I want to creatively. So it's like I want to put on a play. Like, I want to do a funny, like a comedic play. I want to be able to put out movies. I really want to just kind of have my hand in everything. Like, I really want to do like, I want to be the type of comic that's like, kind of like an Adam Sandler, where it's like he'll put out a movie and then he'll put out a stand-up special. He'll just do music sometimes. So it's like, I want to be able to like just be an overall creative, and not try to like put myself into one thing, because I feel there's so many different mediums out there now that it's great to be able to do all of it. So yeah, dude, I think it'd be fun to do like, there's a project that I want to do is like, I want to do a Latino like boxing comedy TV show. Nice. So it's like, I want to be based around like a fighter and make it a comedy.
I'm already fucking laughing.
Yeah, I know. So it's like, I want to do that. Like, I love all that. So I guess this is one thing. It's like putting out those ideas. So I'm putting that idea out there.
I have a question for you.
Yeah.
I'm a big movie guy. I think you're a big movie guy too. You mentioned Goodfellas and Martin Scorsese and all these. Who plays you in a movie about your life, man?
Damn, dude. Michael Clark Duncan. That's right.
John Coffey.
Exactly. If he was still with us, that's who I wanted to be. Unfortunately, dude, that's a great question, man. I don't know, man. I think it's like, it would have to look like me. It would probably
have to kind of look like you.
Mark Wahlberg. No, I'm just kidding.
Hey, Mark, his new movie that comes out Friday, the dude ain't got no fucking hair.
Yeah, exactly, dude. Like, are you talking about like alive or dead? Like
both
of all time, or just now? Because now I'd be like, I guess it would be the kid from Blue Beetle, because it's like that's the only one that kind of looks like me.
Hey, let's pull it up. Blue Beetle.
Blue Beetle.
The kid. People have told me that, like, I've had the dude yell at me at a comedy show, Blue Beetle, and he was just a drunk Mexican dude. I was like, what? You're like, you look like that fool. I'm like, all right, dude. So you're just yelling shit out.
That guy.
What's his name? Yeah, Zolo. That's the only one.
Zolo's his name.
Oh, I will say something that people don't know.
This one?
Gael Garcia Bernal follows me on Instagram, which I'm very proud of.
Okay.
That's one thing.
I can see that guy being you. Yeah.
I don't know. I mean, that's a weird thing. But if it was like all time, I mean, that's the sad part, is like, how many Latino actors are there?
Hector could probably play you.
The Hall dude? Yeah. What's up, man?
Just kind of put a wig on him and
just telling my fucking terrible jokes on stage. I'm whitewashed, fool. He's like super Mexican. Fool. I'm like, no, dude, you're Mexican as fuck.
All right, so this is who you're talking about, right?
That's what people are saying.
So
I mean, I told you, based off the drunk Mexican that yelled at me in El Paso, that's what I look like. Yeah,
oh, man.
Yeah. I was on stage and he was like, Blue Beetle, Blue Beetle. I'm like, what the fuck are you saying? Like, Blue Beetle. I was like, the movie Blue Beetle. Like, you look like that fool. Like, he just had to get it out there. And I'm like, all right, I guess. I'm like, this is why I love and also hate Mexicans, because they just have to say what they have on their minds. You know?
That was like the guy at the upstage guy. He was just letting everything out as well.
He was having a good time.
Yeah. That's some friends of ours. We've had him on our podcast before. Michael Anthony and Joey Jimenez.
Yeah.
They were in the crowd.
I didn't even know that was them. I heard him heckling. He was just having a good time,
dude. The one thing in Texas is like there's so many people that don't know how to act. Like those guys, you know, they were being playful, they're being fun.
Yeah.
Dude, I've had it where like I get off shows and someone's just being so fucking mean. They're like, "That's not funny," blah blah blah.
Yeah.
And then I get off the show and they're like, "Hey man, dude, that was great and everything." I'm like, "Dude, you fucking hated me." No, I'm trying to. I wanted to like help, you know, elevate you. Like you got a lot of laughs by making fun of me, and I'm like, that's not how it fucking works, dude.
Not going to your job and saying you had to fucking do your job.
Yeah,
right?
dude. I'm like, you think like I'm just thriving off of you just shitting on me? Like, what is wrong with you? Like, there's not like I didn't want to have those moments. I had stuff that I wanted to talk about, but then I had to fucking get your ass to shut up. You know?
Is there?
I've had that happen several times in Texas.
Really?
The audiences aren't trained here. They just don't know.
Yeah.
Because if you go to Texas and you're like, how many is it people's first time at a comedy show? It's usually more than half the room.
Really?
Yeah, it's like 80%.
Shit.
That's
I mean,
crazy.
think about it. Not a lot of people go watch live stand-up. They don't.
Yeah.
Like,
They're missing out, man. That's one of my. Dude, this is one of my favorite fucking things to do, other than watch pro wrestling at a show like that too, right? Like,
yeah, dude.
you go and you want to hope. What the thing that gets me is you're going in a room where everybody's expected to laugh and have a good time. If you're not expected to do that, get the fuck out of that room, man.
Dude, what's cool is you can do
know?
it mostly every day of the week. These comedy shows,
you can
with
do
the
it every
exception of Monday, I think they're closed usually Mondays.
No, everywhere.
No,
There's-
dude,
you
every
can go-
single
I did
day.
a show in Austin on Monday.
On
Yeah.
Monday. So
Yeah.
you can see comedy every single day.
Yeah, there's
Every
not-
single day.
yeah.
There's a lot.
Laugh
dude.
Out Loud Comedy Club. I mean,
Upstage.
you got Upstage.
Big-
and then you
big
got
shout out to Bobby Smith.
Mothership. Yeah, you got all those.
Bobby's a great guy.
You got all these places to go watch comedy, man.
Yeah,
So-
dude. Especially if you're in a bigger city like, you know, Chicago, Atlanta, you know, any major market, you can watch comedy 7 nights a week. You
That's
just gotta
awesome.
look for it. I mean, the stand-up comedy is huge now, which is great. More people need to come out.
How do you try new material? Do you just when you go on stage at a smaller spot? Do you use it with friends? You know, how do you kind of find new material in a way?
So new material is like, it's just, again, it's those ideas that stick with you. The good thing is I trust myself more. So if something is funny to me, I feel like overwhelmingly it's going to be funny to people. Sometimes it's not, you know, but that's okay. That's what makes comedy fun. Because if everything you wrote was just hilarious, then it would be boring.
Right.
So to me, it's like if an idea sticks with me and I like it, I want to just get it out there. And if the audience vibes with it, awesome. Then I get to keep it. Now it's like, it's a gem. If I give it to the audience and they just spit it out and they go, I don't like that shit, then I'm like, okay, well, I guess that was just an idea to try out. So, you know, comedy's all A/B testing. Just like that's what companies do. They A/B test a product. This works, this doesn't work. Advertisement is A/B testing. Same thing with comedy. So to me, like I said, it's like I don't fall in love with any part of my material. If something's working, I'll use it. If it's not, then I don't. So yeah, it's like ideas. They'll come to me and I'll just take them and run with them.
What comes first, the skit or the actual like comedy writing? Because I feel a lot of people that do comedy, they do skits and stuff, and then they end up turning that into a joke. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I mean you can do that. I've had stuff that sometimes I'll have a joke and I'm like, I'll say it on stage and it gets a laugh, but I'm like, oh, but I can also do that as a sketch.
That's what's pretty cool about creativity with that, man.
Yeah, so I'll do that too. Like I'll flip them either way. So it's like, to me, it's just whatever medium I'm able to get the laugh first with it, I'll do that. Or I'm a writer. Like I like to write, so it's like I have to write all my stuff down. And I remember when Chancla interviewed Gabriel. Gabriel's like, I don't write anything down. And that like blew my mind. I was like, oh, I thought that guy was like an avid writer because the way he talks and everything. That doesn't mean what I'm doing is wrong. It's just everyone has their own creative path. Like I've seen Louis C.K. live with a notebook and he's literally like going through jokes in his notebook. He'll look at it and then he'll tell the joke. He's like, all right, you guys didn't like that one. And then he's like, and then he'll go into another joke or tell another story, but he wrote it out. So it's like, we're all different. And the thing for me is like, I like to stay disciplined in my writing because it's when I write a script or a joke or anything, like I like to just have my mind already in that. Because the hardest part about writing is starting to write.
Right.
That's the hardest part. Once you start, it's easy. but starting to write is hard. So if I'm already made it a habit, then I'm 90% there.
coasting.
90% there. So I do it every day.
That's awesome, man. Well, Bryan, I know you're gonna come on again, and
Yeah, dude, of course.
I told Johnny, I said, look, we could have done the shoot the shit today, but I wanted to learn more about you today. And I wanted to know.
So gay.
Yeah,
dude.
I know it is. Right? I know,
So
I know.
gay.
But more for the audience too. More for the audience too. Okay, we'll talk it later. So, that's what I kind of want to do because I know you're freaking hilarious. We've been blessed to be in your presence. And
vice versa, dude. Thank
many things from the shows to us having basically we're creating this circle that we've been around.
Yeah, dude,
you know,
it's
with
been
comedy.
great, dude. Yeah,
So,
you guys are awesome, man.
Again, I appreciate you, man, coming out this morning.
Thank you for having me, dude. And
yeah.
I love what you guys are
Yeah.
doing, like creating a space. It's like it's the same thing. It's like
Yeah.
no one's gonna know until you do it. So it's like I love the production you guys have here. You're doing this right here in New Braunfels, like putting New Braunfels on the map.
Yeah.
You know, you guys, you know, doing the same thing, dude. It's like I just look at you as like, hey man, we're like co-patriots here, man.
Yeah,
You
yeah,
know,
make it work,
we're all
man.
just trying to like put out our noise, make some noise
And
in
it's
this world.
all for the audience, man.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
all for the market. That's
Going
what it's for.
back to just entertain, right? That's
Yeah.
exactly what we want
That's
to do.
it.
If we can, whether there's people watching live or they rewatch this, they get to learn about our guests. But at the end of the day, they're entertained by what we do. You know,
100%,
And I
yeah.
think that's what we want to show for everybody else.
The ultimate goal.
Yeah, we want to gain. We want people to have never known a Bryan Torresdey. They learned today, whether it's 5, 10, 20, 100 people, and they get to go see your content because that's how I've learned about the entertainment world. We're busy, man. We're fucking busy.
100%.
So when we get a chance to learn about a comedian, an actor, hell, we get to learn about a basketball business owner later today and things like that. And, you know, so it's awesome to be able to do that. And
Hell
we
yeah.
love that, man. So
Yeah, dude, thank
it'd be great to have you again, man. So the
Definitely.
people that are hiding underneath the rock, like I always say, where can they find you on your socials and get to know you a little bit more there?
And if you have any upcoming shows,
Yeah, that as well.
Yeah. So you guys can find me on Instagram. That's like my biggest, I would say my biggest, you know, bullhorn.
Platform.
It's at BTD Jokes. So it's B as in Bravo, T as in Tango, D as in Delta, Jokes. Or just search Bryan Torresdey online. So you'll have all my socials there. It's same thing on TikTok and then YouTube as well. Also, yeah, check out my web series, Migrants Comedy. That's like the thing I'm most proud of.
I'm excited to go look at that, man. I had no idea about that. So
Yeah,
see,
man.
I learned something today.
Well,
from you.
we're getting it on we got it on Tubi, so it's going to be migrating to Tubi soon.
yeah.
So it's available on YouTube now, but in the next few weeks, it's going to be moved over to Tubi.
And I know you spoke a little bit about your. Oh, go ahead. Are you done? I know you spoke a little bit about your filmmaking, but like, how far do you really want to go with that? Do you?
I go all the way, dude.
Hell yeah.
That goal. I have 2 films coming out this year that I wrote and directed.
Fuck yeah, that's badass, man.
So I have a film coming out. It's not even a comedy. It's actually it's a true crime comedy. Not comedy. It's a true. My whole life is comedy, but
true crime comedy. Eh?
yeah, basically, it's a clown. He murders someone with a fucking rubber chicken. No, it's actually a true crime drama that we're putting out. So,
Bro, that was the thing you could tell us right there that we didn't know about you. Do you like true crime shit or what?
I do like true crime. Yes, I do. I
like
do
48
that.
hours hard evidence and
I like
all those things.
I guess I don't know. I feel like that's everyone likes it though. So it's like I don't know
I
if
don't
that's
like
a
that
hidden thing.
shit.
Oh, okay.
I mean, it freaks me out a little bit. No, I'm joking.
Well,
I don't go look for it.
I think
should
human
say.
yeah, it's like I'm interested by like human behavior. So
Okay.
it's like I'm very much
There you
interested in like what makes people do certain things. Because that's great character stuff,
Yeah.
man. Also like hearing people how they talk and everything. So yeah, I directed a short that is coming out. It's basically based off of real events and
Wow.
it's a police drama.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Hell yeah,
so
man.
We're putting that out very soon.
Well, keep sharing your stuff with us, man. You got our support all day long,
you
man.
guys,
That's
man.
for damn sure, man. And we
any
can't-
any shows coming up?
yeah, oh yeah, there you go. I
Yeah,
apologize to cut you off.
if you're in Austin, Texas, I'm gonna be posted up there for a little bit. I'm doing the Velveeta Room this Friday at 8 p.m. and then Monday I'm at the Vulcan at 8 p.m. as well. And then Saturday or Sunday the 26th, I'm at the Creek in a Cave. So I'll be in Austin for the next couple shows. So guys, come out, have some fun. All the links will be posted on my socials.
There you go. Come out. Send me those flyers, man. I'll share them on my page as well. And just,
will do, brother. Thank you so much. That way we
can get some people out there come check you out in Austin, man. And again, guys, thank you. John, you got anything else for Brian?
Brian, keep on rocking it out, man. You're a trailblazer, a pioneer. And what's cool is we've talked before, but we really got to talk and know you live on camera, man.
Yeah, dude.
Yeah. And that's the beauty of these podcasts. And not only I get to know you and JRock, but the audience people, or the people in the audience get to see you and know what makes you tick. And you're a freaking funny dude.
Oh, thank you, dude. I appreciate it.
And I love that you carry your comedy with you. You don't take yourself too seriously. And you are about making people laugh and making people feel good. And you're just a good overall dude.
Oh, I appreciate that, man. Thank you.
Yeah. So if you guys get a chance to check him out on his Migrants Comedy on his YouTube or his upcoming shows, check him out. You'll be thankful for it. He's a badass. So that's all I got.
Appreciate you guys.
All right, guys. Heck yeah, man. So thanks for watching live. If you didn't watch us live, you're missing out. That's the whole point of what we do. You can follow us and watch us live, or you can catch us when it gets put out. But check us out on Spotify, YouTube, obviously Facebook as well. And man, we got some exciting episodes coming out for you for the next couple of weeks, I would say. And man, I'm just blessed to be able to do this every single day that we're doing it, and especially this morning. So thanks again, Brian. We'll see you next time, buddy.
Next time,
and we'll shoot the shit next time when we have a group in here and we'll laugh it up, man.
Oh, dude, big time. Looking forward to it.
Be awesome, man. All right, guys, you'll have a good day.
Moving.